got communication that she was unwell. And of course, a number of members were agitated because now that was the second time. My ruling as chairperson at the time was, I'm not a doctor. If somebody says they are unwell and they want to go and see a doctor, we should let them. I can't say, no, they must come. What if they collapse from here? I will be responsible. Although, of course, I learned, because I was away over the weekend, but I learned that the IGG was on radio complaining about me as chairperson communicating to members, of course, in presence of the media, because we work with them, complaining that I had given information that she was unwell and that's why she couldn't come. I found that a little bit disturbing because these engagements are not personal. It's not a private meeting between Honorable Kamya and Ssenyonyi here, because if it is, in that case, I'm not accountable to anybody. I don't need to give any communication, you know. If it is a private meeting in my office, for example, it's between the two of us. And so when you're not able to make it, yeah, it is information for just myself. But this is a committee of parliament to which I am accountable as chairperson. And so when a witness fails to show up twice, I have got to give an update to this team, which I lead, because I'm accountable to them too, except where I don't know. Because, for example, there are witnesses we are looking for and we don't know where they are. One of those is Barbara Imario. And you remember we issued a warrant of arrest. And my continuous update to the team has been, I don't know. They ask me, Honorable Chair, we have invited this person severally, where is she? And I keep saying I don't know because that's the truth. I don't know. But where I know, where I have been given some kind of information, like the IGG did on Tuesday saying there were several engagements, I had to communicate. Where now there was an indication that she is unwell and needed to go for treatment because she had been around Parliament earlier, I had to communicate because I was in the know. So I thought I should just, get that out of the way.
Procedure, Chair.
To see to it that...
Reporting information. The information, Chair, you gave on record of this committee is that she was sick and had, in your own words, excruciating pain. I heard her on Capital Gang, on some radio, and some written paper, saying that you were bad-mouthing her, probably all of us as a committee. This is a committee of parliament. Even when you have this content, the committee has offered her a chance to appear and interact with it. She has communicated through the channels she chose that she's unable to attend. And you, Chair, honorably, even with our insistence, you ruled that you have got information from a daughter, among others, and you accounted for her absence. That's why you didn't rule her in contempt of parliament or in contempt of this committee. And indeed, you gave her time to recover and confirm. Now, with that background and enabling background, Chair, I think it will be wrong if we don't move for you to rule that Honorable Betty Olive Kamya first account for her absence in her own narration. Probably this committee was misled, or it understood rightly her whereabouts. But that same day or evening, she was in the media complaining. As a committee of parliament and as a former legislator, she must know that the committee operates in good faith. And the best we can offer as a committee is an opportunity to interact and to get a fair assessment and understanding. So I think you actually never ruled that far, meaning that you honorably granted her the easiest of opportunity to get another opportunity to appear. Now that she also responded in the media, and this committee cannot take it mouthing by this committee.
Okay, I am not the spokesperson of honor. Give her account because it's important. I only wanted to set the stage because sometimes there is a feeling from some of the witnesses that we get to have here that there's something personal, as if there's a vendetta of sorts. I thought it's important to make that clear.
Chair, one, for welcoming us, and two, for your opening statements, But first, since this is the first engagement with this committee, I wish to congratulate you, Chairman, and indeed all members of this committee on your success in the constituency and also the various responsibilities that you have in Parliament, especially of chairing this honorable committee. Second, I would like to appreciate your opening remarks, Chairman, that the Committee of COSASE needs to be tough in executing your responsibilities. I fully appreciate that because in my capacity as IGG, when people are also before me, for the same reason of protecting taxpayers' money, I also have sometimes to be very tough. And
is it possible maybe to just project a little louder, because the microphone doesn't seem to be very close? If you could raise
I fully appreciate that, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, true, when you invited me to come and meet this committee, I called you and informed you that I wasn't able to do so on Tuesday, I think, but that I would be available on Thursday. On Thursday, I communicated to you that I wasn't able because of a medical condition. And of course, you know that a medical condition is not a matter of public discussion. And so I communicated, and I hope that my medical condition is not going to be the subject of today's debate. But I did communicate to you that I wasn't able, and I went to the hospital and I saw my doctor, and if necessary, of course, that can be proved. But Chair, I would like to clarify my appearance on Capital Gang. You will appreciate that there was a lot of concern after your communication through social media and other sources of media to many people that I needed to calm them. Some people are even asking whether I'm dead or alive, Chairman. And so when I was invited to Capital Gang, what I actually said, and you can check this, is that I informed the chair that I was not well, but I did not expect it to be a matter of such media interest. I did not say, I did not complain about you, Chair. I just said I did not expect that there would be a public engagement on this matter. As for bad mouthing, what I said, and you can check this, honorable member, I said that I do not have to fake an illness not to attend a committee. You don't have to fake an illness. In fact, what some people do, they just don't show up, and it will be reported that they didn't show up, and maybe a few they were bad mouthed them. I didn't say anybody bad mouthed me. I would say what I've heard, they would probably bad mouth them and invite them for another meeting. That's what I said, and you can check that with the Capital Radio. But Chair, I'm well, now that I've made the record straight, I did not say anybody bad mouth to me. I only clarified that I wasn't able to attend the committee, but I'm not nearly dying. And Chair, thank you for inviting me again. Here I am.
Okay. I don't want us to dwell so much on this matter. radio, that can always happen. And there's a place for that. So I want us to engage the IGG. I have a bone to pick with the top. I asked you to provide the account numbers because we wanted through police and court to be able to get bank statements. And the reason that is the case, you remember we arrested one of your colleagues, Joan Namulondo. Why? Because money of the entity of Uganda Land Commission, lots of money, was being wired onto her personal account for unclear reasons. And so wanted to establish that. And I remember asking the accounting officer whether that is the modus operandi, and the accounting officer said no. Joan Namulondo, in her account to police, said that it is not just her on whose account, whose personal account, money of the entity, Uganda Land Commission, is put. And again, you remember the other day, we also arrested your former colleague, the former principal accountant, Mr. Siraje Isabili. He gave the same account to police. And so we said we want to now look at the bank statements for at least the past 2 years of the top management, because it has become very clear lots of money keeps being wired onto your personal account. We asked you, Mr. Accounting Officer, whether that is the right modus operandi. You said no, and you actually said it does not happen. But we got information that it keeps happening because there's lots of money. We are talking billions of shillings of this entity, Uganda Land Commission, that cannot be properly accounted for. That in plain speak was stolen, and we want to get to the bottom of these issues. And so when we hear that money gets onto your personal accounts, we want to know. So we asked, and we were told by Mr. Nyumba, the accounts are going to be submitted. After 2 days, we checked again. He said, you're going to submit them. After another 2 days, we checked again. You said you were going to submit those account details. And you did not. I called you myself, Mr. Nyumba, you remember? And you said by close of today, Mr. Chair, we are going to avail those accounts. The day ended. I called you the following day again, because that information had not come. And you said, Honorable Chair, by close of today, the account details will have been submitted. And that did not happen. It got me a lot more suspicious, because it appears there is something to hide. Yesterday, I received a letter in which I was copied. You were writing to the Solicitor General asking for advice, saying, Kosase is asking for account details, our account details. What's your advice, Mr. Solicitor General? Should we avail these account numbers? There's two problems with that. Number one, you wrote that letter yesterday, and yet for the past 1.5 weeks, you have been promising to bring these account details. In other words, you have been telling us lies. And that's why for me, I'm saying I am very suspicious. Looks like there's a lot to hide. And so you write this letter yesterday. Perhaps if you had written it the very first time we asked you for these details, maybe you would be exonerated, because you would say, well, I want to, to get some kind of guidance. But you kept telling us lies. We are submitting them by close of today, because an account number, if you asked me for my account number, in 2 minutes, I will avail it, because I have the records, It shouldn't be complicated. So you kept telling us lies, and so yesterday you purported to write a letter, saying you want the advice of the Solicitor General. One of the challenges of this entity is that you don't even have a legal department. And we have talked about this before. Whenever you need legal advice, you outsource. And this is an entity that is handling billions of shillings. This is an entity that is dealing in land. Land is squarely a legal matter. And so you don't have a legal department, which is also problematic. I will offer to give you some legal advice for a second. Let me be your lawyer for a minute, especially regarding the letter you wrote to the Solicitor General. This committee has got powers of the High Court. And Parliament of Uganda, in as far as opinions of the Auditor General, because the Solicitor General is under the Auditor General. The opinions of the Auditor General are not binding on Parliament. And there's precedents that have been set to that effect. You can read Theodore Sechukubo and others versus Attorney General and others. The Supreme Court was very clear, succinctly clear, that the opinions of the Attorney General are not binding on Parliament. And so we are not going to wait for the opinion of the Solicitor General. I think it's okay for you to seek the opinion of the Solicitor General because you don't have a legal department. You're operating in the dark and yet you're dealing with legal matters. So I will allow you to seek that opinion. I think it is your right.
Chair,
But
procedure.
This committee requires those account details and requires them today. And here is what we are going to do. Because I'm getting the feeling that you people have something to hide. Because for over a week and a half, you can't be dilly-dallying over this very critical issue. Because we hear lots of money keeps being wired onto personal accounts of top management for reasons that are not explainable. And yet you admitted that that shouldn't be the practice, and you even said it doesn't happen. But we hear it happens, and we want to understand this. So this is what we are going to do. Mr. Mugurusi, Mr. Nyumba, and the rest of your team. Now that you refused to avail those account details to our clerk, as I had asked, I am going to ask you and your team to follow our police officers. And they will hold you until you avail those account details. Because we must get them to establish what's happening there. I mean, what are you hiding? I am now convinced there is something that you are hiding, because we have heard this, you know, that money keeps being wired. We ask for the account details so we can cross-check with the banks, and you have said no. And this is a committee that has powers of the High Court. So I am left with no option but to do that, because we must get those account details to establish what is there. Do you have anything to say, Mr. Mugurusi, Mr. Nyumba, before we hand you over to police?
Firstly, I would like to apologize for the delay in submitting the information. And I would also like to thank you for the legal guidance that you've given us pro bono. Actually, I suspected this might arise, so I'd moved along with a list of the accounts of the senior management staff, and if you permit, I can table it, Chair.
So, how is it that you have now come with that list today? Because for the past 1.5 weeks, we have been literally begging you to avail that list.
But Chair, what I can
Chair,
say...
procedure, Chair.
Yes, point of procedure.
Management should be ruled in contempt of this committee and Parliament under Rule 224 with all the resultant consequences for contempt of Parliament. Because this committee instructed them, the purported request for advice, a decoy to hide information and to hide under the cover of any available protection. Possibly they had even drafted a response themselves. So I think it is a decoy under Rule 224 of this Parliament. I think the rule is very emphatic on contempt of Parliament, and Parliament operates partly through this committee. Secondly, Chair, a witness cannot take us through a document he has not submitted. And we cannot be sure that it's actually a list or a document. The document must be first available through our clerk or to you, Chair, before we can be taken through. Otherwise, we shall feed on rumors and hearsay. And the list requested by this committee, Chair, was not about naming 3 names. You had requested for a list of all staff, and in terms of the all staff, and in terms of the account details. Where money was
Colleagues,
transferred.
can we have order?
The one that is currently at the commission, I have 9 names.
What are the names? Just the names and titles, positions.
I have Mr. Mugulose Daniel, the accounting officer, under secretary. I have Joseph Eseru, our senior accountant. I have Asasha Wambiji Noah, our internal auditor. I have Dennis Musengozi, our senior land officer. I have Joan Namulondo, our principal human resource officer. I have Nasanga Mariam, our senior records officer. I have Okado Collins, our ICT officer. And I also have the one for Mr. Milton Ocheri-chan, our head of procurement. So this is the list that I have so far.
I have not heard your name, sir.
Chair, I don't earn a salary from Uganda Land Commission, so unless I give the one for the Ministry of Lands.
We asked for the account details, and I think that's a clear instruction. Because you're the secretary to the Uganda Land Commission. Are you not part of the top management of Uganda Land Commission?
Yes, I am.
So, did you not understand the instruction, sir?
The instruction, Chair, was about where the salaries are paid, and I don't earn a salary from Uganda Land Commission.
The instruction was, we want account details of all the top management of Uganda Land Commission. And at that time, with specificity to say salary accounts.
Yes, and Chair, exactly. That is the reason, because I don't draw a salary from Uganda Land Commission.
Okay, let me make this clear to you, sir. You are part of top management. In a sense, you are number 2, if I'm not mistaken, after the accounting officer. We want your account details too.
That's fine.
And like we are saying, because now you have submitted, I imagine that's just one account, bank account for each of those.
Yes, Chair.
We are saying we want, by close of today, all account details for each of those people, because I imagine it's not just one account that they have. So if there are 2, if there are 3, whatever the case might be, it is incumbent upon them to be transparent. And then we are going to do our digging up as well. You've heard Honorable Cooper saying he has information. There's some information we have. And like I'm saying, if you give us details for 2 bank accounts and yet you have 4, we shall hold you, whoever that is, in contempt of Parliament. Because now the instruction is clear. Not so?
Chair, you are ruled. You are ruled for police to join the investigation immediately, so that we get the results by the end of the day. The accounting officer is here. When they are paying out salaries and allowances, his office is responsible and has those.
We want all the other account details. My worry is, if we ask you to submit them by close of today, you're not going to submit them. Because we have been at this for 1.5 weeks, and we kept reminding, and you say, by close of today, by close of today. I actually felt offended because you took us for a ride. By close of today, I will submit. The day passes, another day. By close of today, Honorable Chair, that passes and that kind of thing. How do we get all the other account details? Because we want, for starters, to get them from you, even before we go to IGG and say, give us these details and that kind of thing.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thank you for your magnanimity on allowing us to submit this. Chair, we only deal with for each of the officers. So we don't know any of the other accounts that they operate, and that is a personal decision. We only get one account for every entity. You submit one account. That's the account where we pay both your salaries and allowances. Whether you're a commissioner, they don't submit more than one. So even if you asked us to present them today, then we'll have to write to them to see if they even have them. Personally, I have one account, the one that has been presented there. So others have 20, others are with their joint accounts with their family members. Chair, that's why actually the matter of trying to consult also came up, because I may have my salary account, but when it's actually a joint account with either family member, a wife, or a child. So that's where those intricacies were coming in. But Chair, to tell you the truth, we can only provide one account, that's all.
Let's do this. As the team leaders, Mr. Mugurusi and Mr. Nyumba, I want to give you a task, because you lead the top management. I want to give you a task with the team that you lead, the top management team. and ask them to avail to you all other account details that are connected to them, and then you avail them to us. So that one is not you going to produce it because you don't have it in your system. You only have the salaried details, account details. But I'm tasking you to connect with your team and ask them to avail to you all the other details, you know, all other bank accounts that they have, give you those details, and then you submit those to us by close of today. They'll help with our investigations. And like I'm saying, it would be a good thing for them to be as transparent as they possibly can, so that we don't again say it's contempt of parliament. Because like we're saying, this committee has powers of the High Court. So when I say, and as a committee we say, produce all the other details connected to you, we are not making a suggestion. So let's get that issue out of the way. There was somebody raising the question of commissioners. You're disorganizing my meeting. Okay. So we invited the IGG here just for emphasis, because now we want to move to those issues substantively. In her capacity as former lands minister, we have an Auditor General's report with us, which is extremely problematic. I don't know if as lands minister, for the time you were in charge, these issues were of concern to you because you were the direct supervisor of Uganda Land Commission, one of the worst performing entities. Those are not Joel Ssenyonyi's words. That's the Auditor General's report. Because this entity has had a qualified opinion for about 5 years. A qualified opinion is to say very poor. Do corrections, as it used to be for us in school, for about 5 years in a row. Money that is not properly accounted for, land that is given out in very surreptitious manners and that kind of thing. And so we thought, let's connect with the supervisor, former supervisor of this entity, to share with us. But specifically, we wanted to start with the supplementary budget of 10.6 billion shillings, which the Auditor General quotes here as irregular. Irregular for a couple of reasons. One, we understand that some of the beneficiaries herein should not have been beneficiaries. Number two, that this supplementary was not initiated by Uganda Land Commission. It was initiated by you, Madam IGG, as the minister, against the law, because the Public Finance Management Act provides that a supplementary is initiated, the request is initiated by the entity to say, look, we have this challenge, we need such and such an amount of money, which they then submit to you as minister. And then you submit to the Minister of Finance. But for this particular one, that did not happen. We had the entire team of commissioners here, including the chairperson, and they all, in chorus, in unison, said they did not initiate this supplementary. It was by you, Madam IGG, as Minister of Lands back then. So we thought that you talk to us about this issue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Initiate a supplementary. Initiating a supplementary is a technical exercise. Indeed, it can only be initiated by the accounting officer. And I think usually it is to the PSST. What I did was to write a letter, a copy of which is here, to the Minister of Finance, asking him to provide funds to Uganda Land Commission to settle some urgent claims. That is the letter I wrote. Whether he provided them in form of a supplementary or a budget item or the timing of when, I did not say. I just raised to the Minister of Finance and I said, please provide funds to Uganda Land Commission to settle compensation for some land acquired by government to ease tension between landowners and squatters. And I said other claims arise out of court orders, while others are for very sick, long-time claimants who need medical expenses acquired. And I copied this letter to the Minister of State for Lands, to the Chairperson, Uganda Land Commission, and to the Secretary of the Uganda Land Commission. So, to answer your question directly, sir, I did not initiate a supplement. I only wrote to a colleague minister to provide funds to the Uganda Land Commission. And when this
Is it okay for you to, because you've read the letter?
Yes, sir.
It would be good for us
Yes,
to see what that letter is about.
Do you have a copy? Excellent. We'll give you a copy.
Please proceed as they bring the copy.
And to answer your question directly, sir, I did not initiate a supplementary. As a minister, I wrote to a fellow minister and asked him to provide funds to the Uganda Land Commission to pay these long-standing claimants. That is to answer your question directly. But perhaps to give even more information, when the minister, when normally there were two issues at the time. One, there was the issue of Ndeba, that was the time of Ndeba Church and Rusanja Church. And there were two issues going on at the same time. The issue of Ndeba Church and Rusanja, those are for compulsory acquisition of land. And that is managed under the Ministry of Lands. And so I was asking for two sets of funds. One for compulsory acquisition of Ndeba land. So because the president had promised that we'll buy this land from that gentleman and donate it to the community to build their church. And honorable members will remember the pain during the Rusanja people. And that's, so I wrote that letter as well. And and copied the PS. When the PS, who is the accounting officer, got a copy of the letter, she initiated, because she's the accounting officer, a supplementary. And the accounting officer of Uganda Land Commission also, because there's no way that the ministry can pay money without an initiated supplementary, and a supplementary can only be initiated by the accounting officer. But to finish, to give you all the information, sir, when this matter was being discussed on the floor of Parliament, the chairperson of Uganda Land Commission protested vehemently, and the speaker then established an ad hoc committee of Parliament to investigate this matter. And the ad hoc committee of Parliament investigated this matter and submitted a report. This is the report, sir, of their findings. And based on this report of findings, Parliament then appropriated funds for, so at that point, it totally came out of my hands. It became a matter of Parliament. And so Parliament appropriated funds for this activity. So my scene, for lack of a better word, was actually asking the minister to provide funds to the Uganda Land Commission. And other players took that up, took the rest up to the appropriation and disbursement, because the money was appropriated to these people but sent to the account of Uganda Land Commission, where I am not a signatory, and the disbursement of the money was an action of Uganda Land Commission.
What was the involvement of the commission? Did you involve the commission in all as the minister who supervises this particular entity? What, in your view, is the role that was played by the commission? Were they involved, or this was something you did unilaterally?
You see, sir, as a minister, or what usually happens, as a minister, you can lobby for your institutions because you know what is happening there. But as you read in my letter, some of the claimants were decades-old claimants. And most of the people, out of frustration of not getting paid, they find their way to the president. They appeal to the president. And the president would normally send them back to me to get them sorted. And my way of sorting them was to write to the Minister of Finance. They had appealed to the president, and in the case of John Nagenda, he had gone to court because of this non-payment. And the court action has actually cost government, who was supposed to pay him, the Land Commission was supposed to pay them 460 million. But because of the delays and the court action, we ended paying them 1 billion plus. And so I asked the government to, when they appealed to the president sent their appeals to me, and I asked the minister to provide funds to the Uganda Land Commission to deal with them. And for your further information, sir, and honorable members of the committee, there are letters here from the honorable chair of Uganda Land Commission, actually writing to the minister, asking for the same money. But the minister was not, the money was not being, so I was kind of complimenting the request of the chairperson of the Uganda Land Commission, asking for money for people like Muzei Rwabukurukuru. Actually, there are many correspondences. These are decades-old claims.
Colleagues, let's first pick this and then
from that. Because such that we don't dwell so much, because if the Auditor General has raised the matter, sorry, our colleague, and that letter had been copied to the PS. The PS now formally initiated. Do we have a copy of the PS writing now formally? Because it's the accounting officer who requests. If she could give us the copy of the PS requesting.
Yeah, in the case.
After getting that copy, that possibly could help us. Because I also know the Auditor General is well versed with the procedures of supplementary requests. Maybe it was not provided to them, because if that was provided for them, then possibly they would not have queried that you initiated. So we need that. That enables us, or after the Land Commission getting it, the accounting officer of the Land Commission now initiated. So that would help us if we could get those communications, because the Honorable Byenkya said after her communication to the minister, and because these letters were copied to the PS.
Actually, that's not correct. They were not. The letter I have was not copied to. It was written to the Minister of Finance, signed by the Minister of Lands, then the Honorable Kamya, copied to Minister of State for Lands, Chairperson Uganda Land Commission, Secretary Uganda Land Commission. So the PS Finance is not copied here.
What I said, sir, for clarification, that I was handling two needs for money. One of them is compulsory acquisition of land. And under the law, compulsory acquisition is handled by the ministry. And so I asked for money for Lusanja and Ndeva under the compulsory acquisition provisions. And I copied the PS. And the PS proactively took it up and then initiated a supplementary. And that letter we have. And I was saying that when I copied the accounting officer, they are the ones who are supposed to take it up. And
you said you copied to who? Because I'm getting a bit confused.
Okay.
Now there's
There
another
are
letter
two
perhaps you're
there are two
referring to that I don't
requisitions
have.
There were two, I was giving an example, that there were two needs for money. One of them was about compulsory acquisition of land. That is Ndeba land and Lusanja land. And that is a function under the Ministry of Lands. And so I asked for funds for that as well and copied the PS. So when the PS got the letter, because it is the accounting officer who generates a supplementary, she wrote asking for the supplementary. And I wrote another letter asking for funds now to pay off old claimants to the ministry, for Uganda Land Commission. And I copied the accounting officer of lands, who should then have initiated the supplementary, because the minister does not initiate a supplementary. And the Honorable Auditor General, I'm sure if you bring this to his attention, will acknowledge that the minister cannot initiate a supplementary, but the minister can ask a fellow minister to provide funds for any institution under their supervision. And that's what happened. I did not ask for supplementary. I did not I did not even give the timeline or anything. I said, please provide funds for these urgent claimants.
Oh, okay, I want to take a look at that other letter, which you say you copied to the PS Finance, because the one I have here that you submitted first is not copied to the PS Finance. If we can take a look at that. But as you do, I wanted to bring in the chairperson of the commission.
But
because,
sir, I can also give you
okay.
a copy of that asking for a supplementary of money for Mzee Rwabukurukuru, who is one of the people I'm also saying, who eventually went to the president, and the president sent it to me, and saying that even the chairperson had asked for money, I was just enforcing her requisition. And this is a copy of the letter as well.
Okay,
Chair.
Protested this. Why?
Give passed on to you.
Okay, I see this is a request for supplementary budget release of 2.1 billion and 1.4 billion to pay for land compensation under the land fact in favor under the land fund in favor of the family of Kosia Rwabukurukuru and Wamala Growers Cooperative Limited. This is signed by Beatrice Byenkya. Maybe you can tell us if you know about this letter, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you very much. That's all I wanted to know.
Okay, let me have the letter back.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members. I just wanted to acquaint myself with the list of the people that I put. And when you see, I didn't mention the names as the minister put it. And that was my basic concern, even when we were talking as a commission. And even when I pointed it out to you, why was it those particular 6? Rwabukurukuru had a presidential directive, but they had come in 2018. It's a new application, but with a presidential directive. So I was asking myself, why? Why was it those particular ones? And we weren't involved, Madam Honorable IGG, my senior then Honorable Minister.
Procedure, Mr. Chairman.
Colleagues, let's first pick this information.
Because you asked a specific question. Maybe we should take up other matters after the IGG has finished her case. Because we are likely to get now a ping-pong thing.
Yes,
and that's
yes.
which is procedure. We have to protect, one, the institution of the IGG. Then, two, we also have to protect the witnesses appearing before us.
I think for me what's important,
now we receive this, then we go through her evidence. Otherwise, now this ping-pong, I think is not fair for the witness.
We are here to get information. This is the chairperson. This is not some random witness.
Who has been taken to court by the IGG who seated next to me. So Unite also makes my situation tricky. Yes, she was my boss then, but she has taken me to court.
Information, Chair.
No, you can't give information to her.
No.
Let her proceed
Procedure.
Information would be from
Procedure, Chair.
somebody else. Colleagues,
Procedure, Chair.
Honorable, can you hold that procedure?
No, I really beg you. You know, procedure takes precedence, Chair.
And the chairperson can allow or disallow procedure?
No matter can take place until you rule on the procedure. That's the rule.
Yeah,
you
but
will see the speaker there. Once procedure, it is first handled and then
Honorable Kanya,
Chair,
let's first speak this information.
You see, Chair, procedure is very important because we need to comply with our rules, the way we operate.
Okay, so tell me what rule is not being complied to. Quote for me the rule.
You see, Chair, you cannot, under our rules, you have two witnesses. One witness even making allegation of being taken to court without submitting documentary evidence. So we are really going to have a ping-pong, false accusation on verbal issues without documentary evidence. The best way to proceed here is to, every statement you make, you back it with document. That will help us.
That's okay. I actually thought, because
Actually, Chair,
if it is a question of providing information, because you're saying false allegation. Now, Honorable Kanya, you seem to have made a conclusion. And for me, I have a problem with that. If one of my committee members is saying, maybe the IGG is making a false allegation against the chairperson, because the IGG has told us the chairperson signed a letter. So if one of my members says, no, IGG, you're making a false allegation, or Madam Chairperson, you're making a false allegation against IGG or whoever, I have a problem. Let's not rush to conclusions now. Let's speak the information, and then we can determine, because except if you know something we don't know, Honorable Ekanya, then you can also come and give us some information.
Chair, that's why I was giving information that the witnesses need to be reminded that they are appearing in the capacities under which they were invited. Honorable Betty Kamya is appearing as a former lands minister. You are appearing as maybe president or former chairperson. So stick to that. Other functions you may be executing outside this committee is a different matter. So we are specifically concerned with the matters before the committee in the previous capacities. And I don't think there is anything to do with an allegation when it is an interface with the committee. These are matters for investigation, but I think they are trying to move backward and be emotional. This is a committee, and we are protective of all. Of course, I also have my reservations with the chair. I also had others with Honorable Betty Kamya, but you are all good. So let's continue.
Okay, telling all these people when they come, feel free to talk to us about anything. The only issues you might not talk to us are your personal affairs of home, family, and whatever, but anything to do with the offices that you occupy or have been occupying and everything connected to that, please feel free. And so no one should say, no, you can't raise this, you can't raise this. As long as it has a connection to the matters we are investigating, let people speak out. Colleagues, you notice that previously when we allowed people to speak out, that's when we would gather information. That's when you would connect a couple of dots. So, Madam Chairperson, please carry on.
Chair, and like you rightly said, this committee it has the powers of High Court and behaves like a High Court. Wouldn't it be procedurally correct to dispense with one witness before you got onto another witness?
So,
even in court.
Please leave that to me as chairperson. At any one time, anyone can provide information. You have mentioned the name of the chairperson. Yes, Madam Chairperson.
But
Thank
Chairman,
you very much.
I would also have come with my lawyer if you had asked. I mean, it is a bit unusual. With
What's the? I said station. What's with the lawyer?
There's no tension,
I'm speaking
Chairman.
to the chairperson.
There's no tension, Chairman.
I've not asked.
Procedurally, you finish with one witness, then you.
Madam IGG, please allow me to chair this committee. You are here as a witness.
It's unusual.
You're not going to dictate
That's unusual.
how we interact with you, Madam.
Chair, if
So please allow me
Chair, if this
to chair this meeting.
Chair.
So let's proceed, colleagues. Let's not dwell so much on it. Madam Chairperson, please carry on.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and honorable members of the committee. I wish to reiterate the stance of Uganda Land Commission. We didn't initiate the 10.6 billion as supplementary budget, and we I did write to the Speaker then, distancing ourselves from that supplementary budget. And even when we sat as a committee, I did pass on some documents where we said that we were not part of it. And then my concern then, which I did point out, is that why is it the particular 6? But as a commission, we didn't initiate the 10.6 billion as supplementary.
May I answer that question?
Please.
The reason why the 6, because the 6 are the ones who had appealed to me. I don't have a list of everybody who claims money from Uganda Land Commission, but the 6 are the ones who had appealed, some through the president, others through court and then to me, and those are the ones I knew, and those were their claims. And we asked Uganda Land Commission whether their claims were genuine, and Uganda Land Commission said they were, but that was even after I'd written this letter. Chairman, there's nothing beyond the people who appealed to me, and I asked the minister to provide funds to the Uganda Land Commission. And those funds were actually put on the account of Uganda Land Commission, which I don't control at all. I don't even know where it is. And it is Uganda Land Commission who paid them. So that is the story, sir.
So, Madam IGG, you referred to an ad hoc
Of Parliament.
Parliament. I want to establish, did you do some due diligence, you as Minister of Lands then? Because requests come to you, and you eventually write to the Finance Minister to say avail these funds. Did you do due diligence to be sure these people deserve payment, that there are no ghost claimants? Because there's been concerns, and now even referring to the report of the ad hoc committee, they raise concern about some of the beneficiaries. There's a one Tuaha Luakana who was meant to be paid 1.17 billion. He was instead paid 1.2 billion. But then a request was put in for payment for him, and yet he had already been paid. If anything, he was paid over and above. As opposed to 1.17 billion, he was paid 1.2 billion. But even after being paid, a request was put as if he had not been paid. And the ad hoc committee is saying, wait a minute, this particular request should have been rejected. If anything, we should recover the over and above, which was about 25 million shillings. So as opposed, the committee was saying, look, that request should be rejected because that person was already paid. Actually, what we should do, let's recover because he was paid over and above. That's one. The other issues, of course, that were raised, there was another, Busurwa Julius, and the committee was saying this particular claim by Julius Busurwa raises suspicions given the records obtained from the Uganda Registration Services Bureau. Recommends that the claim of 1 billion as claimed by Mr. Busura and presented by the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development should not be approved. The committee was saying there is another issue here. Of course, the same committee raised concern about how the initiation of supplementaries gets to be done, and they were saying the Uganda Land Commission should be left to carry out its mandate established by law. Two, the Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, which was you then, should adopt a well-coordinated approach of initiating supplementary budgets, and in all cases, the accounting officer should be involved. That's Uganda Land Commission. And then the minister should take note of the requirement of the law and desist from usurping the powers of the accounting officer by initiating a supplementary expenditure without the officer's input. That's in the report which you have a copy of. And so, I am trying to establish whether you as minister, before requesting for this money, you did due diligence. These people that I am requesting money for, Are they proper claimants? For those who are proper claimants, is it true that they have not been paid yet?
Well, I can't tell now. I left.
No, what I mean, at the time, as you were putting in the request.
Sir, according to the records which Ruakana has, they received 4 installments. One installment of 500 million, another installment of 200 million, another installment of 200 million, and a 4th installment of 150 million. According to Ruakana, that is all they know. That left a balance of 125 million. And that is according to what Ruakana say they received. But in there can be some, they call it what, harmonization of records, which I'm sure the Committee of Parliament did. But this is the record, and Ruakana can be invited to swear this is all they know that they received. But to answer your question, one, I think that the record should capture it properly, that the minister did not initiate a supplementary. The minister wrote to a colleague, fellow minister, to provide funds for these claimants to the Uganda Land Commission. I beg, Chairman, that this record be captured properly, because a supplementary has a way of being initiated, and it is initiated by the accounting officer. Actually, technically, a minister cannot initiate a supplementary because there are technical steps which have to be taken to initiate a supplementary. I would like that to be clear. All I did was to ask the minister to provide funds. I did not state the time, I did not state the method, whether to provide a budget or whatever. So I would like that one captured properly. But as I conclude,
let's first let her finish what you say.
As I conclude, sir, the recommendations of the advice of the Auditor General are received, are taken, and I don't think it happened again. It was good advice from Parliament and from the Auditor General. If the minister didn't know, she was advised, she knows, and it didn't happen again. Honorable Chair.
Okay, I have one question for the IGG and one question to the Chairperson of Uganda Land Commission. Then I'll open it up to colleagues. Because like you're saying, the request ideally is supposed to be initiated by the entity that is going to benefit from the money. In this case, Uganda Land Commission. I asked a question earlier, which I did not get a proper answer to. Did you liaise with Uganda Land Commission at the time to be sure of all these details? Because by the time you write to your colleague, the finance minister, you have gotten all the details from the commission to say there is so and so, so and so, so and so. We need to pay them these amounts of money. We have double checked, cross-checked, and we are sure they're not ghost claimants. They deserve this pay. None has been paid, etc., etc. Are you able to tell us that you did that as Minister of Lands?
It's been a while, but what I remember through my technical support, I did establish that, first of all, the one from John Nagenda, for instance, was a court order. And Julius, I think from his lawyers, was also threatening a court order. But what I know is that from my technical support, we did establish that. And we're even talking with the accounting officer of Uganda Land Commission. We did establish.
Who are you engaging with at Uganda Land Commission?
The accounting officer.
Who was that?
That was Barbara Imario. the accounting officer then, because she's the accounting officer. And I think there's a letter from Barbara. Alan, if you help me, we can find from Julius, where she says, wait a minute, where she says that yes, we're, I will find it. Yes, I think here, for instance, you can see this is a letter from Secretary and Accounting Officer of Uganda Land Commission, which is addressed to the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Lands, and copied to the Minister for Lands, which says, in a letter dated 3rd March 2021, referenced as follows, you requested us to clarify the acreage of land that Uganda Land Commission acquired from Mr. Mugisa Godfrey. After perusing our records, we would like to confirm that Uganda Land Commission is in the process of acquiring land from Mr. Mugisa, described as Freehold Register, volume that and that and that. In a report dated 6 June 2016, the Chief Government Valuer returned the value of the said land, measuring that those hectares and at about 1.5 billion. For ease of reference, we have attached the Chief Government Valuer's report and boundary opening from the office of the Commissioner. So that was, and then from there, Uganda Land Commission paid a down payment of 50 million to this, for this land, to Mr. Mugisa, and acknowledging a balance of 1.4 billion. And this one was signed by, the Ugandan Commission had paid a deposit or advanced or whatever, a down payment of 50 billion for this person. So there was some communication between us and Uganda Land Commission through the accounting officer, who was the secretary to the commission.
Okay, Madam Chairperson, this committee, and as Chairperson of Uganda Land Commission, as the Chief Executive, you raised concerns saying you were kept in the dark as the Commission. And your commissioners, your team of commissioners who were present that day, they said as such. The minister says Uganda Land Commission was involved, and you told us you saw all of this in the media. What were your concerns particularly? Because ultimately, I want to also hold Uganda Land Commission responsible in case, as you did allege at the time, that some of this money was paid to ghost claimants and that kind of thing. I want to say, look, Uganda Land Commission, this money came from your account. How come you were not involved? So that ultimately, if mistakes were made, we see who to hold responsible.
IGG was making the presentation. I was expecting to hear, probably there could have been other comments from the other beneficiaries, because they haven't come out. That put aside, all the same, unfortunately the secretary is not around. Because when we speak and somebody is not around, she hasn't appeared, we were not in the know. And I was on UBC, I wish to reiterate, I even put it in the letter, I was on UBC watching. And then the thing came on. And Honorable Ngavirano MP Rampara came to the office and I asked him, when are you finishing this budget? He said, today. So that's when I wrote to intervene. And I did point out when I came, I think it was in this room, we were supposed to sit as a committee to map out the way forward as far as this 10.6 billion is concerned. And the secretary, before we start the meeting, she said, but I paid yesterday. And that was a Monday. And we asked, where did you get the authority to pay without the consent of the commission? And she did point out whatever the law, what have you. And then we as a commission resolved that I communicate to the PSST our dissatisfaction and disassociating ourselves from that pay. And that's what we did.
Finally, Madam Chairperson, again, you raised, apart from the procedure
Yes.
that was followed of you not being consulted as the commission, you raised about some of the payments for this particular figure. Talk to us about those.
Them and it was my own doing some research.
Honorable Fox Odoi, you are welcome. Thank you, Honorable Chair. We are usually happy when we are joined by non-members of the committee because you're ex-officials. Thank you for coming, but I'm hoping you're not causing confusion behind there. But we are happy to have you, Honorable Fox Odoi. Yes, Honorable Byenkya, please proceed.
Honorable Chair, for the record, I'm a member of COSASE, by virtue of my being a member of Parliament.
And that's what I said.
That's what the rules say.
That you are an ex-official member. That's why I was welcoming you. I was only saying, let's have order there. Yes, Honorable Byenkya.
Yes, I wish to repeat what I said. I think it was in this committee room. I did do my own research, and I found that much as Rabukurukuru had was a presidential directive, some of the land had been gotten. I think he had sold it off. There was some, so that was it. And Julius Busulwa had already been paid off completely. However, another title had been put into the file. And then I said that Natalia Namuli was non-existent. Wasn't there, and that was 1.something billion. And ultimately, I said that it was only one person who was a legitimate claimant, and that was Stephen Nagenda, who had a court case, a balance was 460 million, and had gone to court and had been awarded court costs, and it came to 1.2 billion. The only legitimate claimant on that list is Stephen Nagenda.
Well, Chair, you have to refer to the investigations of the committee. You have to refer to the investigations of the Committee of Parliament. Their report on page 8, the report recognizes that Rabukurukuru should be paid that amount of money. And on page 9 of the Committee of Parliament's report, page 9, the committee actually went and talked to Namuli herself and found her to be a very old lady. And on page 10 of the report, they recommended that the claimant is of advanced age and is living with her sick mother and bedridden, and the committee recommends that the outstanding balance of 1.5 be paid. Actually, the committee reported to Parliament that they actually saw her. So if she's non-existent, the committee, I think, should be able to give more information on that one. And on page
procedure, Chair.
Of the committee report.
Chair, procedure.
Why don't we allow, I want to come to us as members substantively.
It's about the documents, because the IGG is reading documents which we are not in possession of, so we are not following the proceedings. So I don't know if it is procedurally right for us to be reading, to be told.
Okay.
And we are not having the documents with us.
And that's correct. She's referring to a report of the ad hoc committee. I personally got a copy because I wanted to read what's therein.
Yeah.
We'll need to see how we get a copy to members.
Chair.
And I wanted to ask the IGG,
Chair.
finally.
Chair, I asked someone to forward to me. I have received. Let me share.
Okay, please share on the group so that we can follow. Madam IGG, that same report that you are referring to is mentioning this person called Twaha
Which page, sir?
Luakana Incidentally, the one I have is not numbered. But look for Twaha Ruakana, who you put in a requisition for 1.175.
The claimant.
But the committee established, number one, this person was already paid. So if the requisition put in is okayed, it will be double payment. But the other challenge actually the committee established, the initial payment that was made was over and above what this person should have done, was demanding 1.17 billion. Uganda Land Commission paid him 1.2 billion, about 25 million shillings over and above. And the committee is saying, why are we having this name among those to be paid? Yet they were already paid. If anything, they were paid more than they should have been paid. In other words, as opposed to another requisition for this person, we should be asking them to give us back the 25 million. In other words, recovery.
Yeah,
That same report you're referring to, Madam, is referring to Julius Busulwa as a suspicious payment. They raised a concern about this 1 billion shillings. Do you want to address us on that? The two.
Share procedure for how we handle the office of the IGG. From the time I came here, and Article 164 is categorical how you handle an individual who was in an office, you handle that person in capacity of that individual. Now, our Hansard is capturing continuous word of the IGG. We are in a digital world. We need to protect institutions. We deal with the individual under Article 164 properly, and we separate the action under Chapter 13 of the Constitution. Therefore, I beg you, Chair, that is it procedure correct for us to continue referring to Honorable Kamya, whom we are handling under 164 as the IGG for our record.
At the start of this meeting, Honorable Kanya, you came late.
Clarify on this one. We received this table from Uganda Land Commission on what the Uganda Land Commission owes these 6 people. And according to them, Mr. Isaka Rwakana is owed 125 million. May I submit this for you, Chair?
Okay, who was that from?
It was from the Secretary, Uganda Land Commission. Can you pass it on?
Okay, so what you're sharing with me here, here, 125 million shillings as information given to you by Uganda Land Commission. But the challenge is, at the time, you were asking for 1.175 billion. Could it have been a mistake or what?
No, sir. My letter says 125 million. I gave you the letter, sir. The letter I wrote to the Minister of Finance is 125 million for Rwakana. According to them, the balance after the four payments, which I read to you. My letter to the minister, which actually you're talking about, the one which asked for provision, is for 125.
So perhaps we need now to reconcile, because your letter is saying this man owes money, and yet according to this report which you're referring to, you're saying no, that person is not supposed to pay us because we already paid him.
Sir, I got my information from Uganda Land Commission.
And paid him over and above. How about this other person, Julius Busulwa? Because the committee is also saying this 1 billion shillings is suspicious, according to the report you've been referring to, Madam.
Well, Chairman, you see, when you're a minister, you to do the work for you, and that table I've given you was sent to me from Uganda Land Commission. And if there was a mistake, it should be corrected at that level. For me, I received information from the technical people in the ministry and from Uganda Land Commission. And that's the information I used to generate that request for the provision. And if the Committee of Parliament investigated and found otherwise, can only go back and ask the Uganda Land Commission for the information they gave me. It was given to me by Uganda Land Commission.
Of course, and Madam IGG, you have been a member of Parliament before. It's as the head and the supervisor at the time, for the committee to say there is an issue here, that would probably mean either you did not do your due diligence well, because the committee is saying there is an issue here. Does that concern you?
Chairman, I said from the investigations done by the Auditor General and the advice given, and by the Committee of Parliament, and by the advice given, the Minister took note of the advice, and it did not happen again. It does concern me, yes.
Okay.
Here.
Honorable Nekesa.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members who are deliberating now, Chair, today. I don't know how you said, Chair, that the Minister was superintending over an entity as a supervisor, where we have the counting officer and secretary then, and the chairperson of the commission not working well, as earlier raised in the meetings. How did you manage in such a situation where you ask for compensations and take notes from them to manage, to pretend and deliver to that different? Now you're seeing messes. Could it be that you're dealing with one side of the management in that entity, or is it that there was confusion that you not realize there was, so you end up doing your supervisory role in a way that is a bit, a bit not straight, and we're having this come here. So for that matter, Honourable Minister, don't you think it's okay that you look into our lens that something was going not right from the way you said and heard before, and the leadership, and yet you're dealing here and trying to deliver, and then it gets skewed, and now we're here trying to the Auditor General and back with us. How do you look at that in that aspect, Minister? Thank you.
Communication.
Okay, let's do this. Questions. Let me request the IGG, former lands minister, and chairperson, whichever questions come, take note, and then we respond at once. I think it will help us to deal with the time question easily. Honorable Mpindi, I am coming. Only one person can speak at a time. You both can't speak at the same time. Honorable Diomjeni. So we will move. I'm coming. So,
Chair,
because you're my friend. Okay, Honorable Mpindi is on the mic.
Chair, I wanted to begin with the point of clarification that I wanted to get from the former minister. You know, when you talk about initiating the supplementary and who is supposed to do so, I get confused somewhere, because the minister was in charge of the budget of the Land Commission, and she knew what was budgeted for, and this claim came in the middle of the budget, and the minister knew very well that the same is not budgeted for. So if we are to pay those claims, it required a supplementary budget. And by writing to the Minister of Finance, the minister knew that it will require definitely a supplementary budget. So this formality of who writes, whether technical or what, is just a formality. But in my view, the initiation began from when the minister realized that these people must be paid and wrote to the Minister of Finance. Then the other thing, Chair, the former minister is keeping on referring to the secretary, and we've got a lot of issues, Honorable Minister, former, with this secretary called Babla, whereby the commissioners are saying we are not involved in this, we are not involved in this, including this 10 billion, when they said for us as the commission, we did not approve the 10.2 billion, but the secretary went ahead and paid that money without the approval of the commission. So I am finding it a bit confusing how the commission failed to approve the payment, and the secretary goes ahead and pay, and then for you are referring to her as a technical person, and you are telling us that it is the technical who are supposed to do this. And for me, I rely on my technical people, forgetting that as a minister, you are responsible for all messes that are done by the technical officials in the ministry that you are supervising. So I think you need to address yourself in your view, whether that was right or not, and also to clarify, at least for me, where or how you think initiation begins from, because I think by writing, requesting for funds, that the initiation has already started. The others are just formalities. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Sebamala.
That you're guided by your technical staff. I don't think it is for the minister to verify, to go down and verify, or to go to the swamps and everything. Please.
Honorable Sebamala, you are protected.
My question is, when this came to, because this must have come to light that some of these what did she do after that, when she realized that actually there are queries in the report that was from Parliament? How did she proceed? The other is about the 10.6 billion to the chairperson. We are meant to understand that by the time the supplementary left Parliament to the commission, it had been highlighted on who is supposed to be paid. However, the chairperson and commission had a particular list that they wanted to pay, contrary to the one that Parliament had passed for the supplementary. Could we find out why?
Okay. Honorable Ndiomjenyi.
Thank you, Chair. I wrote a letter to the Minister of Finance requesting for funds, and he didn't specify. I would like to know if he specified the amount in that letter that you required. And if you did, what was the basis? How did you get that information? Because when you look at the Auditor General's report, Chair, and members, the issue is very, very clear that the Auditor General noted that the expenditure for compensation is not expenditure out of the ordinary, as it has been an ongoing classification of payments by the vote. In addition, neither management nor the commission were involved in the request of the supplementary. And the supplementary was tagged payments of individual persons. So those are the issues that the Auditor General raised. Now, is it the mandate, for example, of the minister to identify who to pay? Because the way you talked earlier, you said there were presidential directives, there were court orders. How did you get that information about who to pay? I'm sure there was a whole list of claimants in Southerns. What was so special with the 6 that you picked? And when you are asking for supplementary from finance, the payment, that supplementary was tagged to those particular people. What criteria did you use to identify those people amongst the so many that were existing on the roll, on the list of the claimants? Finally, Chair, the former minister needs to be made aware of the excess allocation of 159 million in that supplementary. And if she's not aware of it, it happened. So we would like to know.
Of what, sir?
There was a 459 million in excess of what was required in that supplementary budget. And the Auditor General is saying, as a result, the funds awarded were in excess of what was allocated by 459 million, for which management expensed to other claimants. So we are wondering whether it was actually supplementary, yet there was that excess, because that figure is also something that you need to acquaint yourself with. Finally, the accounting officer explained that the Commission did not initiate any request for the said supplementary. Now, the accounting officer we are talking about is the one you're saying he did not, that she the one who advised you of the people, of the claimants to pay. And here the Auditor General is saying she told him that she was not aware. She did not initiate the request for the said supplementary. So there is the crux of this matter lies on the intention. One, the intention, your intention to get the money from finance through a supplementary, because the Auditor General is saying it should have come in the normal budgeting process, because this was not an emergency. And so, and secondly, the list, the criteria you used to initiate that supplementary, and the list that was attached, that was tagged to that supplementary, they are all in question. But finally, Chair, why did the minister write to the Minister of Finance? She was saying as a colleague, as opposed to the accounting officer, to request and initiate the supplementary budget, because we all know the budgeting process. We all know how requests for supplementary budgets are initiated, and the minister got herself involved in that whole mess, and in the end she wants to get out of it. So to me, I think it is very, very important that she explains that from initiation to the end, and the rationale for the 6 people, some of whom were getting huge sums of money, and yet, according to the Commission, they were paying most of the people in bits, owing to the fact that most of the time they don't have enough money. But these other guys who are being questioned, who are being doubted, for them they were getting huge sums of money, 1.5 billion, 1.1 billion, It was a bit of, something that we need to get more clarification on from the minister. Thank you so much. I beg to submit.
Honorable Itungo.
Thank you, Chair.
Be brief, because this is an accountability committee that is evidence-based. So, Madam Former Minister, Chair was asking about the due diligence, whether you carried out due diligence before you handled this matter. And my issue is very simple. Can we have a list, the list you submitted to benefit, vis-a-vis the list that's submitted?
Sorry?
So, we want to have a list. When you are requesting for the money, the list you submitted, and is it the very list that benefited, or you requested for money, submitting a different list and the beneficiaries were different? That is my concern. So can we have a list you used to submit and then the list that benefited? That is one issue. The second issue, Chair, we have had issues with the presidential directives. So I want to find out from the minister whether those presidential directives we are talking about are written or they are verbal, and if they are not written, then there is a procedure of handling the presidential directives, whether you follow those procedures. Then the rest one, Chair, there is information around, Chair, that the former secretary we are looking for is somewhere in the boys' quarters of some mafia until when this exercise is concluded. She's not about to be seen. So, Chair, with your permission, I can give more information about the whereabouts of this secretary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. That information will be very important because we have been looking for Barbara Imario for some time now. First, then we upgraded it to a warrant of arrest. And our police officers told us they are still struggling to locate her. Actually, they gave another update. Are you saying she is in his boys' quarters? But seriously though, seriously, whoever has got information should help us. Because you see, the other challenge we're having, most of the people we are pinning to respond, everybody says it was Barbara, because perhaps they know we cannot get hold of her now. So whoever has information to enable us get hold of her, we shall send police to pick her up. Honorable Kamya.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, that Barbara Imario happens to be from my constituency. And I will try to engage the elders. I will try to engage the elders to release, because now Toro County North is on spotlight. And we want police, because people cannot hide, really. You can run, but you cannot hide. I want to appeal to her and whoever is keeping her to ensure that she is brought forward. But Chairman, the point I would like to ask, I have two questions to the Honorable Byenkya Kamya, the former Minister of Lands, and the Commissioner. One, Commissioner, Madam Chairperson, you have been there for how many years? From the time you entered, did you try to establish and come up with a record of claimants on land issues in this country? Because, Mr. Chairman, this land question is ping pong. And in fact, in a closed meeting, Chairperson of we, the members, will give you my opinion. Because this thing, every parliament fights over it. And you find that the crime starts from as high as presidency up to the villages, including parliament. And so we need to establish whether, Madam Chairperson, when you were a chairperson of Uganda Land Commission, did you try to establish the database of the claimant to avoid ghost claimant coming in place? Can you avail us all the database of claimant that you know that during your time presented claims and which had court matters? Honorable former Minister, the same question to you. While you are there serving and heading this very complicated section, did you try to get record of claimants who had been paid from the time you took over? Because under Article 164, you take over liability and assets. And I want to really, since I'm seated here with honorable folks, the liability you take is the liability of the institution that was committed by your predecessor, not the liability that is accrued to you. That's why we look for another person, including their estate and assets. So did you, during a handover, did you receive record from the former minister from whom you took over of the record of claimants who had been paid and those that were pending? And then during the time you served as a minister, how many claimants were presented? Because the challenge we have, and Chairperson, I believe that at appropriate time, we may need to have an audience with the president. Because some of these claimants become political. And the president addressing the press says, let action be taken. Like the one of Bisanja, the one of the church. Me, I am a Catholic. We felt very bad that our church was being destroyed. I'm a Christian. Even the other day, I'll tell you another one, which we MPs approved. We had refused it on the floor, but then we were called to Church of Uganda. We had closed the supplementary, we were ordered as parliament, we approved and payment was made. I will tell you guys in a closed meeting. So, Chairperson, we need to really go in this detail of this matter. So I want to conclude here that Madam Byenkya Kamya, from the time you were there as a minister, how many claims did you receive, whether in written, institutionally, so that by the time we write our report, we have a database, the trillions people are demanding using land. Thank you very much.
Okay.
With this puzzle, we need Barbara. We need Barbara, because here we are looking at a situation where 10.6 billion sent, the commission, because they are the ones who do, the technical people say no, some of those things should not be paid. But here, the secretary goes ahead to pay. So that's where we need the secretary to tell us, was she doing this under some instructions or personal interest? Why would she defy her bosses? Because they say, no, a minute, please. Because I guess the committee, the ad hoc committee could have done its part. You see the recommendations there. There are those which we are saying, don't pay. But then you go ahead and pay. So we really need to have that person to have this matter sorted. I'm happy that my brother Kamya here is going to engage the elders to make sure this happens. Then, too, the issue of the data, maybe Honorable Kamya, we have been struggling with this commission. I say, can we get data? Can we have a database? Can we have an inventory? It has all been scanty and what. Chairman, yesterday when I was preparing for this, I landed on a document from my archives, which I think can go where I'm going to give the clerk should photocopy for us, Mr. Chairman, where we could have the basis. This report here. This is a report dated 12th April 2018, which was submitted to the committee, submission to the Parliamentary Committee on Fiscal Infrastructure, Uganda Properties for Missions Abroad, Properties Managed by Uganda, Properties Holding Company, Areas of Property Rates for MDS, and Paid Land Owners under the Land Fund, Office Space Rented by MDS Financial Year 2017-2018. And in this document, there are a list of all the properties that Land Commission at that time was supposed to be had. It also has a list attached of a summary of the outstanding land acquisition claims from financial year 2010 to date. To date, by that time, I mean 2018. So I don't know why the Land Commission, the time the secretary appeared here, cannot give us something similar which is updated of this nature with this type of things. That you say you don't have any inventory. Yet these things have been having. There is also here, including this of the forest land and the blocks and what, all these things here. So we keep wondering why you say there is no database, there is no inventory. Yet there was something that those who came to office at that time would have inherited, unless someone maliciously or deliberately is deciding not to give information or destroyed information. But I will give our clerk to make copies for members. You can also pay me for getting this. We can give you a copy. The Land Commission. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Honorable Sibambi, then we'll keep coming like this.
Information that you've given us this morning, but I would like to just comment about one thing and seek for your guidance. It has nothing to do with the audit, but has to do with governance issues. In our earlier interactions with the management, the board, and the former senior officers of ULC, I noted that there's a governance issue. So I would kind of request the two ladies, when I say ladies, with all the respect, the Honorable Minister, now the IGG, and the Chairperson, kindly please guide us, or this committee, on what to advise in terms of governance, because I fail to understand who is the boss. At whatever level, you find the secretary in our own right, given the backing which we all know from the state structure, she's actually the ULC. We know everything rotates around Barbara. Initially, when she appeared before the Committee of Infrastructure, I thought maybe she was just a small personality, but she's very strong, not character, but she really has a lot of power, wielding, paying billions without permission from the commission, coming up with armed personnel, overrunning the entire office, and the chairperson is having is shaking like a leaf. So, you know, then the chairperson at her own, in her own whatever, she also has powers. Then you find the board is divided, because as a chairperson, the board should be working with you. So you now find there's acting chairperson, which is not legally recognized, constituted, but executing the mandate of the board. Now, the former minister also maybe would give instructions and others are buying. So who is the boss? And without resolving this governance issue, there is a very big problem. So I just wanted, yes, please tell us who is in charge and control, who wields power, who is the directing mind and the will of the board, of the commission. So without identifying the directing mind and will, management is actually, I don't know why we're even castigating them. In my opinion, they're innocent, with all due respect. Because they don't know who to talk to, who is supposed to do what. Where is the directing mind and will of this commission?
Honorable Pius, then Honorable Hashim and Honorable Mwada.
Thank you. First of all, I want to declare my interest first because the chairperson is my former MP and now I'm MP. I want to know the exact role, the chairperson. I want to know the role of the chairperson. If at all money can be paid to ghost claimants, what is her exact role without her knowing? Then to the minister, I want to, why did you decide to, I don't know what wisdom you used to work with the accounting officer and you decided to ignore the commission, to work with the commission? Why did you decide to work with the accounting officer and you decided to ignore the role of the commission in the land commission? Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Hashim.
Yes, Chair, thank you very much. I think my main question is for us to be talking about Barbara's whereabouts here now, because she will take off again. We have the media here. You remember the IGG was talking about, you see the distortion in media. Last time when you were reporting about the IGG's condition, it was not really what we are hearing today, what we had today. It was totally different. You made it in a very good and normal way to us. And today I wondered how it was coming out that you made it like tarnishing her names, what, which was not true. So I think wherever Barbara is, whoever knows should make it now in camera. We should not really do it here, because now from Kampala she's at Tororo. Ekanya stays in Tororo. Tororo is very near Kenya now. She will jump to Kenya. So you will fail to get her. Like now you have already issued a warrant of arrest. It is really very bad for us to start mentioning now she's in this place, whatever. She will run away forever. So I feel you should guide that nobody should talk about it. They should tell you, maybe secretly, that the police should go and check for her this way, at this place, you know. Thank you very much.
Okay, Honorable Mwada.
The former lands minister. Honorable, I want to refer you to page 8 of the Auditor General's report. I don't know if you have a copy, but I can retract the phrase I want out of it. The Auditor General says that it is noted that this particular expenditure, the 10.62 billion, was not expenditure out of the ordinary. It had been an ongoing classification of payment by the vote. In your opening statements, you said that for you initiated the supplementary budget or the request. Your only role was to request the Minister of Finance, who you refer to as a colleague, right? And you said you based on request forwarded to you from the president. I want to be quick to add, are you in a position to share with this committee how the president shared his request to you as the then minister, so that we can appreciate the genesis of your participation? I want to partially rotate around your own participation so that we can get a better view. Secondly, in your own statements, you said you only wrote after receiving requests, some of them from the president, and possibly some of them from the commission or from other beneficiaries claiming to your office. Now, being that the Auditor General is saying this had been ongoing classification, could you speak to the mic? And this is an audit report for the year ending, 30th June 2021. I want to be mathematically correct to understand your tenure at the Land Ministry. On which day or the timing, the month, when you joined the Ministry of Lands. Because I want to appreciate whether actually the Auditor General captured it wrongly. Because the Auditor General is saying it has been an ongoing classification. You are saying you received it while in office as a request from the President, and you immediately acted upon. At what time did you join the commission? I mean the ministry. Just answer straight. I just wanted that answer to enable me give the next question. Yes.
Well, first of all, the shuffles were in December 2020.
Yes.
No, 2019.
2019.
2019. 2019. So effectively, I took office in January 2020 up to about March 2021. Because after the elections, we all left office.
Not May?
Officially May, but you're taking decisions because.
So when you are appointed to office, you never filed office immediately.
When I took the reshuffles were announced on actually I think on the 15th of December.
Yes.
2019.
2019.
Yes, and so there was a time we were going for Christmas and blah blah blah. So to effectively take office was in January.
January 2020.
2020.
Meaning the year ending 2020, you were in office. Yes. Can we capture it as that?
Yes. Well, I was not physically in office, but I was the minister.
No. So she was appointed December 2019.
I think I was in December. The reshuffles were announced on the 15th of December 2019. And people were going off for Christmas. Holidays.
I think the question you're trying to get to is whether she was in office
now,
as far as the auditor is concerned.
Exactly.
And the answer is yes.
When the Auditor General says it had been ongoing classification, an ongoing classification by the vote. By presumption, it was within the records already, and you are telling us it came from the president. Now, what came from the president?
I am going to tell you because you wanted a specific answer.
Yes.
And I want to give you an answer.
I want you to distinguish.
Although I had wanted the answers from, I don't know whether I should answer this one first or chronology.
I beg for the audience of the chair.
Maybe, is it possible, Honorable Mwada, for you to ask the questions? She takes note and responds.
Chair, secondly, I wanted to appreciate the genesis of her participation. And two, you said while at the ministry, there was a question raised by colleagues that why did you specifically write to the minister, not the Land Commission? You must have reasons.
To the minister?
You said you wrote to the minister.
For money?
The Minister of Finance.
Yes.
It was your submission. I'm quoting you.
Yeah.
And now there's a worry. What were your fear in contacting the Uganda Land Commission? Because from the report of the Auditor General, it appears when they are filing their correspondence and records to the Auditor General, they must have specifically indicated that they were not involved. That's why it is captured here. And this is what brings us to interact with you, basically, I think.
Which year is that?
This is audit report ending 30th June 2021.
2021.
Yeah.
But my letter is, I think, November 2020. Yes, my letter was, I think, is 30th November 2020. I don't remember.
You can refer to your own letters. So this is the OT report. And he's still quoting the same figure.
Alan.
Now we want to appreciate why you chose to, because as a minister, the Land Act is very clear. That first of all, the Land Commission gives you as a minister quarterly reports, periodical reports, I think in 6 months.
Yeah,
That's according to the Land Act. So by presumption, away from other records and documentation, the Land Commission is presumed to have been interacting and transacting with your ministry. Isn't it true? Minister, you need to assist us now. If it is in the theory, yet the law provides to the contrary, because this must be an eye-opener for us. Because are you saying the commission, they never submitted reports, the required monthly report, the 6 months reports provided for within the Land Act? In terms of, for example, the land fund. Chair, I request that it be.
Okay.
Yes. Developing will require that answer.
Okay, just respond to that particular and expedite it.
The microphone.
The relationship between the Minister of Lands and Uganda Land Commission was very complicated, to tell the truth. Because at the beginning, when I got to that ministry,
Order, colleagues.
I also tried to understand how it works, and it wasn't easy. And so I wrote a letter asking the Uganda Land Commission to submit for my information a clear system and criteria for disbursement of the land fund. It was ignored, my letter. And I wrote again through the chairperson, through the technical wing, asking, in fact, halting any more disbursement until we had a clear system on the management, on the system of disbursement of the land fund. And I'm going to submit this letter, which I wrote to the Honorable Beatrice Nyakayisiki, Chairperson of Uganda Land Commission. And I kept saying, it is therefore unfortunate that my letter has been ignored by Uganda Land Commission. And I even informed them in my letter that I intend to cause an audit of the management and disbursement of the land fund during the previous and current financial year. And it was still ignored. And I want to submit this letter to the chairman. So I really don't want to go into this, but I am forced to say that was a very unusual and difficult relationship, where the chairperson of the Land Commission wanted to report only and directly to the president. So, to the president. And so, and I really didn't want to go into all this because I don't want to open another Pandora's box. But I just want to say that I never received any reports from the commission. But having said that, to answer
what is your response? The former head accounts who we handed over to police said he paid the Isabide said he paid direct to these claimants. You know, the Auditor General report shows us that this was a supplementary targeted to particular individuals. The payment benchmarks, as required by the Commission, he paid direct. But he was short of telling us he was getting orders from where. Can we say it is you who ordered the accounting officer to pay? Because all these others denied ever having worked with him to pay direct to these claimants who are mentioned here.
Honorable Member of Parliament, when I took Honorable Kunyinji, when the chairperson of the Uganda Land Commission protested my requisition for the Minister of Finance to avail funds to the Uganda Land Commission, it was taken out of my hands by the Speaker of Parliament. The Speaker established an ad hoc committee. The ad hoc committee did their findings and their investigations and their recommendations, reported them to Parliament. Parliament appropriated the money in their wisdom. It went to the account of Uganda Land Commission, where I'm not a signatory, where I had very little influence, as you can tell, and where I have very little communication. So the disbursement of money was between Parliament, Minister of Finance, and Uganda Land Commission. I have from the time I wrote and asked for the money, and my requisition was challenged by the chairperson of the Uganda Land Commission, Parliament took it on and appropriated. And that's where
Lastly, speak to the record that you have no personal, professional, or direct relationship with any of the beneficiaries cited. Just say it on the record that you have no personal, professional, how do I say, political, commercial interest and relationship to all the beneficiaries being mentioned. Because by mentioning that they were targeted to individuals, someone may think, why did the minister choose out only these particular individuals? It must be the sentiments. Just speak to the record.
Yes, I will speak to the records, and I want to answer that question because several members have also raised it, as well as the chairperson of the Land Commission. Why those 6? Yeah. And I said, because those 6 are the petitions that I received. I'm sure there are others, but the 6 are the petitions that I received. One of them being a court order. The others, and I want to answer the other question of presidential directives. When I came to the office, actually I found a lot. And I was saying, but this country, I was saying myself, what's going on? There are so many letters from the president dating decades. He's saying, and I wanted to clear at least something, get one thing out of the way. You know, it's not as if they were coming there. They were there. I found them there. And several ministers, I'm sure, found them and left them there. So my attempt was to at least get something out of the way, you know. And they're still there, you know. There are many presidential directives, actually, that don't get implemented. So, to answer your question directly, I have no personal relationship or professional with any of those people, but more importantly, those people were clients of Uganda Land Commission for decades, long before I came to that office.
Maybe, Madam IGG, and there was 1 or 2
court orders.
There was a court order, yes. There was a petition, and there was a presidential directive. But there were so many other people who, for a very long time, had not been paid. Some actually much earlier than these ones that were cleared. How is it that, as the minister in charge, you did not interest yourself in these particular ones? Because we are looking for fairness, that some get attended to and others don't get attended to. And yet, some of those who are not being attended to are much earlier claimants. But now, because there's a petition, somebody petitions your office, those ones get attended to. How about those who might not be able
Chairman,
to petition your
I was
office
just beginning.
or
As
that
my-
kind of thing?
Chairman, I was
Honorable
just-
Sibambi, you know, actually it leaks into the audio, so let's have one meeting, please.
I was trying to say that you deal with the things that are before you first. As actually, I did even ask for an inventory during my course of supervising the Uganda Land Commission. I even asked for an inventory of claimants and the system of the letter which I gave you, and several times, and the system and of managing the land fund. And I had been informed by, I think, the Minister of State then, that there had been a committee. I think she said there was a committee of the land fund which had been established by my predecessor, but for some reason, I don't know what happened to that committee. So I was in that ministry for 1 year, and in trying to get it organized with a lot of difficulty in communication, the 6 that were on my desk, I dealt with them as I was trying to deal with the others as well.
You mentioned, Madam IGG, that in dealing with these 6, the 10.6 billion, Uganda Land Commission was aware.
I have given you a record.
You have given me records. This is signed by Barbara Imario, Secretary Accounting Officer. She is petitioning about one particular recipient,
There's another
Mr. Mugisa Geoffrey.
There's another table with 6 of them.
I have not seen the table of 6 because that's the one she is referring to.
No, that's
If you can, because it's your document. Because what I'm seeing is one person. A table, no, but you see the table you submitted is the one signed by Mr. Mugurusi. Because that time you did not deal with Mr. Mugurusi. You said you were dealing with Barbara Imario.
Oh, no, you don't deal with a person, you deal with an office.
Yeah, but Barbara was the one in office, not so?
Because I think she was on leave or something, I don't know. And sir, as minister, I don't deal directly. I deal through the technical people. So normally it will be either the undersecretary in the Ministry of Lands on direction of the PS. It was not normally the minister. You ask for information, and the information you get it through the technical people. And it will be the person in office, whoever it is. I didn't say, really, I want to talk to Barbara only. It is whoever is in office.
Now, the Auditor General, in his report, says the accounting officer, and this was after the exit meeting, the accounting officer explained that the Commission did not initiate any request for the said supplementary. That seems to contradict what you're saying.
What I said is that when we got these petitions on our table, we did some due diligence to find out whether the petitions were valid or fine. That's how we communicated with the Uganda Land Commission, the technical person, through my technical people. And I wrote a letter to the Minister of Finance after that, and it was challenged, and it was taken over by Parliament. And I said, I fully acknowledge the advice, the technical advice of the Auditor General and the Committee of Parliament, and it did not happen again.
Now the letter that you gave me, the document, it's actually not a letter. It's a table signed by Mr. Daniel Mugurusi, who is here. Because what you're saying is you had an engagement, if you like, with Uganda Land Commission, that by the time you wrote to the Minister of Finance about the 10.6 billion, you had consulted with the Uganda Land Commission. That's what you said. And so you're giving this table
my technical staff,
to show as such. Mr. Mugurusi, I want you to take a look at this letter here, this table. Because it is signed by you. Help us, there's no communication, there's no letter, it's a table. Microphone.
Thank you, Chair. It's our document.
Okay. What's that about? When did you sign that and what was it about?
Yes, Chair. This document is dated 4th February 2021. On this particular day, we appeared before the Budget Committee. And appearing means appearing Uganda Land Commission, and we are being asked about this supplementary. Actually, by the time the Budget Committee called us, they already had this document. What they only needed was for me to authenticate it. And that's exactly what I did. That was when we had already appeared at the Budget Committee.
So what I'm struggling to connect is whether that table, because Madam IGG, you said you did consult with Uganda Land Commission. Let me have the document back, that you did consult with Uganda Land Commission about this before you wrote to the Finance Ministry. Verbal consultation and that kind of thing, because we are talking about 10.6 billion shillings. So what I am not getting from you, because you have said you referred to the accounting officer then, who was Barbara Imari. Well, she's not here. But perhaps if you had correspondence to show, you wrote to her asking about these particular claimants worth 10.6 billion, so that by the time you write, you have gotten information from Uganda Land Commission. Actually, I would have expected that in the letter you wrote to the Finance Minister, you should have attached a document or a letter from Uganda Land Commission authenticating the claims. So it would presuppose that you generated this list yourself. So what is some kind of letter from the accounting officer to say, based on your request, these 6 people, we know them, they're in our system, please help us to get money, the 10.6 billion shillings, to pay them. We don't have that correspondence, Madam.
Chairman, if you give me about a week, because now I have left, since I'm not in the Ministry of Lands, I know that there was a lot of correspondence. It is in the Ministry of Lands, but of course I left it all there. If you give me time, I undertake to provide you all the correspondence that there was.
What's your response to the Auditor General saying the accounting officer explained that the Commission did not initiate? The accounting officer explained,
yes,
that the Commission did not initiate any request for the said supplementary.
Chairman, I already said here that when people appealed, some of them to the President, some of them to me, I wrote a letter to the Chairman, to the Minister of Finance, to provide funds. So yes, it is true, I handled it at my desk to write to the Minister of Finance to provide funds. So what the Uganda Land Commission is protesting, that they didn't want, I don't know those funds, because the funds were supposed to be, oh yes, there's a technical hitch. Because for me, I wrote directly to the Minister of Finance and asked the Minister to provide funds to the Uganda Land Commission. That is true. I wrote to the Minister of Finance. But the generation for a supplementary, that is done by Uganda Land Commission. And if they did not want that money, they should not have generated that supplementary, and it would not have reached them. For the money to be transferred from Ministry of Finance to the account of Uganda Land Commission, the generation has to come from the people with the pins, with the codes, with the what. That is a technical exercise. So
but it's contradicting, Madam,
sir,
and please understand my confusion.
If Uganda Land Commission did not want that money, they should not have generated.
But they're saying they didn't generate the request.
Then ask Minister
and you don't
of Finance.
have evidence to show that they generated
Chairman, ask Minister of Finance, do they release money merely on the request of a minister?
So here's the thing.
It is not possible.
You're the one here today, and we are going to interface with the Minister of Finance tomorrow. But you are here today, and you have given us a letter where you wrote to the Minister of Finance,
asking them to provide funds to the Uganda Land Commission. Now, for the Minister of Finance Ministry to provide funds a request has to be generated from the accounting officer, not from the person who merely wrote a letter. And if they did not want that money, they should not have generated that request. The money can only move from Ministry of Finance upon request by the accounting officer, not merely a letter from a minister.
Okay, so as supervisor at the time and as the person who wrote to the finance minister, who then initiated that request from the Uganda Land Commission, according to you?
I have no clue. The accounting officer, it has to be. I don't know the system. I asked for the system to be told how the system works. I didn't get a response. But to get the money, Mr. Chairman, I need to emphasize this. For money to move from Ministry of Finance to a vote, it has to be generated by the accounting officer. They cannot release money merely on a letter from a minister.
So here is the complication in this situation. And we can even go chronologically. Yourself, the then Minister of Lands, you write to the Finance Minister asking for funds.
True.
10.6 billion.
Yes.
This money, according to the commission, the chairperson is here, and the commission was here, they said they had no idea about it. They did not initiate this. The Auditor General's report.
No. So, sir, let's go. So when they said they don't want the money, they went to the Speaker and said, actually, we don't know about that request. And so the Speaker stopped the process and created a committee of Parliament. And the process continued with that decision of the Speaker. The Committee of Parliament, where I was not involved, did their investigation, came and made a report to Parliament, and Parliament went ahead and continued in spite of my letter and appropriated the funds to, but for it to move from finance to Uganda Land Commission, it had to be generated by Uganda Land Commission, not the minister.
So two things. Parliament appropriates money. How it gets to be used, that's what we are trying to dig up on, because it can be
And by that time I had come, I'd got out of the
misused or whatever the case might be. The chairperson is saying there were some ghosts therein. You know, that can't, we can get to the point of Parliament. But Parliament says, let's appropriate money. Money usually gets stolen in entities, local government, ministries, and that kind of thing. You can't say, but Parliament, why did you appropriate this for these claimants? And then you said you got that information from Uganda Land Commission.
Revealed to me that they had been to the Uganda Land Commission for a decade.
So did you cross-check with Uganda Land Commission about that?
And in addition to their yes, there was some, that's why I said, sir, if you give me about a week, because I left all the communication in Ministry of Lands, I'm sure I can find them and I will deliver them.
My challenge though, even as, you know, we'll need to look at those documents, the Auditor General, one, the Commission, the entire of it, not just the chairperson, the entire of it said they have no idea about this. The accounting officer told the Auditor General, I also have no idea about this. So who did you deal with? That's what I'm trying to understand. Because for you to write that letter, you must have had a basis that you've either got communication from Uganda Land Commission that there are these claimants we need to pay. If they have petitioned your office as Lands Minister, you cannot just write a letter. You first consult the entity that, hey, I have these people, they are petitioning me. They are saying they demand you, you have not paid them for a long time, they are sick, whatever the case might be. Give me information about this.
Chairman,
there's no evidence to that effect.
To bring documents. Because I don't have all of them here. I said that in the Ministry of Lands. If you give me time, I will submit the documents.
So are you saying then that, I'll read it for the 10th time. The accounting officer, this is the Auditor General's report, a copy of which is available even on their website. The accounting officer explained that the Commission did not initiate any request for the said supplementary. They were not in the know. That's the accounting officer. The Commission, the entire of it, the chairperson and the entire Commission, they were with us here last week, and they said they were also not in the know. So who were you dealing with? Even as we wait to see the letters, we want to get from you, because the accounting officer whom you are saying you dealt with has denied before the Auditor General. The commission, represented here by the chairperson and another commissioner, but the other day they were all here. They all said, we were not party to this, we don't know. So you as lands minister, who did you deal with?
Chairman, I have also explained that when I received appeals from these 6 people, from wherever they came from, when I received appeals from them, I did some due diligence, and I established that they are actually bona fide claimants for decades, some of them for decades, and some of them through court orders, and some of them through presidential directives. They were bona fide claimants. And through the system, my technical system, I established that they are bona fide claimants. And so I wrote to the Minister of Lands to provide, or Minister of Finance to provide funds to the Uganda Land Commission to pay them. And the Uganda Land Commission protested. And that's where my role ended. So what you're saying, sir, is that why did I not communicate with the Uganda Land Commission? And I'm asking you, if you give me time, I can prove that I actually did.
Okay, as we, of course, yeah, we will need to look at those documents, but I wanted you to speak to those documents. Just put yourself in my shoes for a second. You have the former Minister of Lands here who is saying,
we'll prove them
so
wrong.
what do the documents say? You talk to us who you...
through my technical people.
Which technical people?
The technical people at the Ministry of Lands. The documents they got could only have come from Uganda Land Commission.
From who specifically at the commission? Was it the chairperson of the commission? Was it accounting officer?
I only asked my technical people. They deal with technical people.
Mr. Chairman.
So when I said verify this, the documents they got to verify that these are bona fide claimants could only have come from Uganda Land Commission.
Mr. Chairman.
Well,
just a quick one on that.
Is supposed to deal with the commission. But the commission has denied knowledge and involvement of this particular money, 10.6 billion. The accounting officer has denied the same to the Auditor General. And so, aside from, yes, you're saying you will bring documents and that kind of thing, but it's 10.6 billion. Surely, I'm sure you have an idea.
But it went to the account of the Uganda Land Commission.
That's okay.
That's where it went.
That's okay. The challenge though is, now the resultant issue is, there are claims by the chairperson, for example, that some of the people who were paid were ghost claimants. But for me, even before I go to the issue of the ghost claimants, because that's the result, I'm looking at the genesis. Because if there's a problem with the genesis, then it lends credence to those who are saying some of these people who were paid were ghost claimants.
But paid
otherwise then,
who paid?
And we want to get to that issue.
It's Uganda Land Commission who paid.
Yes, Honorable Muzali, you have just come.
Thank you so much. I have heard the minister very well. She says she initiated the request for a supplemental of 10.6 billion. And in addition to that, she makes it clear that when she joined the office, she found a number of directives from the president and so many claimants. My question is, how did you come up, okay, now that you had assessed all these claimants and the many directives from the president, the 10.6 billion, was it enough to cater for all those claimants, or you had just picked a few of those, that money to come to you in person? I thank you.
Okay, what's your response, madam? Because you said there were other presidential directives. The microphone is off.
I think those, like I've said, those are the ones that came to me, that came to me at the time. And I said, You know, when you're in your office you're trying to streamline an office, but you go step by step, step by step. And I have said, these 6 were the ones who were on my table at the time. And I pushed them to the Ministry of Lands to provide funding. But Chairman, I think colleagues should, not colleagues, sorry, honorable members should appreciate that the money was supposed to go to the account of Uganda Land Commission, which I don't control. And if Uganda Land Commission says they were fake, surely they do not have to click the button for payment. Who forced them?
I think what that means, as I come to Honorable Itungo and Honorable Kamya, my interpretation is this, and my interpretation could be wrong, but it's just my interpretation. For 10.6 billion shillings to get to the account of Uganda at the protest of the Commission, at the denial of the accounting officer according to the Auditor General, of course somebody had to be involved. My challenge now with the minister might not even be that the minister connived. I don't have evidence to that effect. But you see, as the minister who should have ensured and taken good care of this 10.6 billion taxpayers' money, I'm struggling to see that you took good care. I'm not saying you stole this money or that the ghost claimant, you know, it doesn't matter, because you see, if I am, let's say I'm working, I'm the one in charge, minister or whatever, and there's an official from Uganda Land Commission, and we liaise, you know, it cannot be that the money comes to my account. Perhaps if there's some kind of deal, and I'm not saying there was, I'm just trying to think through as an ordinary person, maybe add a little bit of law or whatever the case might be, that if I'm dealing with this official from Uganda Land Commission, you know, the commission has said, no, don't release that money, we don't know about it. Accounting officer is denying, or whoever. I deal with somebody, the money gets to Uganda Land Commission account, and then eventually maybe those who were meant to benefit, here ghost claimants or whatever the case might be, get to benefit. That's what in the mind of an ordinary person would be. No, and so Chairman, my challenge is, why didn't the minister take good care? That's what I'm struggling with.
Mr. Chairman, when the minister initiated this payment, Uganda Land Commission protested. And when Uganda Land Commission protested, Parliament took over and the minister went out completely. Parliament investigated, Parliament had their findings, Parliament made recommendations, and it is the recommendations of Parliament. After their findings, even those ghost people, if their ghosts are there, Parliament said they visited them and talked to the ghosts. And the money went to the account of Uganda Land Commission. The minister's role ended the moment Uganda Land Commission protested. And the minister went out and Parliament took over.
Honorable Itungo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Minister and Uganda Land Commission. And how are you supervising it? And I did say true, we had a difficult working relationship. And it's, I think I also inherited it from my predecessor. My predecessor also did not have it very easy supervising the Uganda Land Commission. And the year I spent there, I didn't find it easy at all. And I think the current minister is also not finding it easy at all. So the trend might give you a clue on how to get to the bottom of that one. But it is true, it was a difficult working relationship with no communication, because the chair preferred to communicate directly to the president. I think that's what I saw. Honorable Mpindi wanted to know whether they were not budgeted for.
But Chair, I think there's something that you need to clarify now. The Chair preferred to be communicating direct with the President. The Minister is communicating direct with the President. Now, who is causing what?
The Minister is supposed to supervise this institution or institutions in their ministries, but my personal experience is that I had very little communication with the chairperson because the chairperson preferred to communicate directly with the president, and so I never got reports or anything like that. That was
Okay, you can proceed to the others. We'll hear from the chairperson about that and the other issues.
So most of the questions, Chair, were rotating around why the minister directly initiated a supplementary. And I said the Auditor General also made a comment on that. And when the Auditor General makes a comment, and Parliament and the committee, you take it. And you don't repeat the mistake. If it was a mistake, you take it. But fortunately, my mistake was nipped in the bud by the protest from the chairperson of the Uganda Land Commission, and it was taken over by Parliament. So, if it was a mistake, and maybe it was nipped in the bud by the protest. So it did not continue on my drive, but it was taken over as I have explained. And finally, another common question that has also been coming is why the 6? And I answered and said, the 6 are actually the one who petitioned me. One of their 5, one of them was actually a court order. And the others, you have some discretion. Like the Committee of Parliament said, Namuli was very sick, old, with a sick mother. I mean, at the level of minister, sometimes you have some discretion on saying
procedure,
this is very
Chair.
sick.
Chair,
And
procedure.
So, if you allow me to...
Point of procedure?
Yeah, the procedure matter I'm raising, Chair, is that the former minister is answering in a casual way that I don't understand, that the criteria she used was those who petitioned her. That's so outrageous because, I mean, there should be a formal procedure through which claims should be paid. Now, whoever accesses her is the one who is paid, and those who can't access her cannot be paid. I find it procedurally, I would like to know if we are procedurally moving well with such kind of explanation. Thank you, Chair.
But you see, Chair, I have submitted a letter to you where I wrote to the chairperson of Uganda Land Commission to give us a procedure of how things are done. And I have submitted that letter to you, and it is the second letter, actually, because the first letter...
Is that the one talking about records and so on?
And even procedure, systems and procedure of the Uganda Land Commission, and also how the land fund is managed. I had written 2 letters to the chairperson of the Uganda Land Commission asking her to tell us how the Uganda Land Fund is managed and the procedure and the system. And so there wasn't a system really. And I think we're in the process of finding out how it is actually done. I was also asking, you know.
Were you given answers?
No, sir. I did not give answers.
So what did you do in the event that you did not receive answers?
Okay.
So basically the questions were from members, honorable members, were about why I did not consult, why I initiated a supplementary, And I said, sir, I did not initiate a supplementary, but I asked. And there's no, I think there's no, I don't know, I can be advised. The law is on initiating a supplementary. And I did not initiate a supplementary, but I asked the minister to provide funds. And I also said that funds are not provided on the strength of a minister's letter, but on the strength of an initiated process, initiated by the user department.
I asked you that you are the budget, you are the one who presents the budget on behalf of the ministry.
Yes.
In this case, the Minister of Land. And you knew what was in the budget could not pay the claimers. By putting out, writing to the ministry, to the Minister of Finance, you knew that you are requesting for a supplementary budget because it wasn't in your original budget. Don't you think that is one way of initiating the supplementary, though it is not the formal way?
Well, not necessarily a supplementary, because, you know, the budget ceiling comes from finance sometimes, I think.
So, but there's an annual budget for the entity.
It could have been a budget or a supplementary, but I think, Honourable Member, and I've lost my trend.
We're talking about supplementary because there's a budget for the entity.
Yes.
This request you put in was outside the budget, hence a supplementary.
There are things like court orders, like the one of Nagenda. There was a court order, and they were threatening to gun she, actually. And that court order cost government, that process, court process, from 460 million to 1 billion. So sometimes you are faced with decisions that have to be taken.
Okay, there are some questions that were put to the Commission Chairperson. Maybe you can have a response to them at this stage.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members of the committee. That's the former Minister of Land is concerned that I really wanted to communicate through the President. It was only over one issue. For the 1 year she was there, the one issue which was very bumpy to Uganda Land Commission, and that was Naguru land. So, Walter.
Chair, before you go away, why did you make it complicated for the minister to work with you? Be specific, because she mentioned you are very complicated. It was a complicated relationship. You were the chairperson. You are supposed to report to the minister. You are misbehaving, going to the president, running to maybe to even the police. We even told you had a lot of escorts. So, we got it from in this committee in our previous sittings that she had a lot of protection, among others. A lot of police and military within police, then the other one with the police. Probably the minister also was blocked. So why did you create such a relationship? What were you hiding? What were you shielding? Be clear.
No, I will be clear, and I have always been clear. The relationship where the minister was saying I was hard was Power Naguru. It was basically moving forward. They want the commission to move, and I'm saying no, we haven't got the permission to move. You're my sector minister. She wants the third parties, and we're saying the third parties, as far as we are concerned.
Were you communicating by letters or by a phone call?
No, there was some communication
letters. By letters.
And then there were meetings.
No. There were letters.
Yes.
So she's right to say that there are some communications.
Yes, and we did respond, because eventually there was a committee that was formed by Honorable Moses Ali to be there, and we came on board.
So it is true there are some letters from you to the minister on these matters?
No, not on these matters. No. Mm-hmm. Not on these other matters. It was only one. Naguru. It was only that.
Please to ignore her on Naguru issue.
The Land Act says that you shall, as a commission, present a report every 6 months to the minister. Did you present it?
Yes, she did. She did get it. It's there. And I also have it in my office. It's there. She got it. And there was the land fund. There was that thing. There were 2 letters where she did write over the allocation of monies, where she wanted to revive the committee dispersing the land fund, which is a mandate of Uganda Land Commission. And in fact, twice when those letters came, the PS was also attaching the law. It was saying, for your attention, Chairperson, the minister is directing this, but be mindful of the law stating the what. So it was also a land fund issue. But we did send the report.
Received unclear communication from the PS. He was giving one direction and again saying, refer to this.
No, the minister was saying we shouldn't pay. In fact, the communications, I even read to the members of the commission and they're saying no, but it's our mandate. She hasn't provided a policy guidance. And we were in the process, and in fact, when we presented the report, those were the things that came up. I wish I had known. I would have brought the report, which we did present to her, the steps we had taken, in fact, answering her queries that she wanted.
I wanted on record, because the minister, former minister, now IGG, says that she consulted with the Uganda Land Commission. I asked her who specifically
consulted. The members, the commission wasn't consulted. I don't know of anyone who was consulted.
But Chair, you were here when your commissioners said that sometimes you could call off a meeting, you refuse to chair, they chair, you appoint an assistant to chair or another person to chair, but again you sign the minutes.
No, but for this specific issue, Honorable Mwada,
when we are looking at the
let's first deal with this
I'm trying to
specific issue.
That's something related.
No.
Her conduct is also questionable.
Honorable Mwada,
No, when it comes
just
to
a
that,
second. I want my question answered. I don't want Honorable Mwada to deny me my answer. So the answer that I wanted on record was for this specific issue.
Yes.
Because the IGG insists she consulted the Uganda Land Commission. My
No.
question to her was who specifically. She says she'll bring the documents. IGG, Auditor General's report, accounting officer was not consulted. You as chief executive,
no, no consultation.
did you see any kind of correspondence?
No, I didn't.
But
So-
were you at all time as acting as the chair? Because commissioners said sometimes you delegated to others.
Now, members, if you want me to answer that question, I'll also do it in writing. Honorable Chairperson, if you allow me, because I don't want to be misquoted out of context. Yes, so I'm still corresponding to the issues. Ya lwabukulukulu lyali sigaddewo 1.8 nti lino 6.1 bakizimba buzimbi bupya ne bakireeta mu 2018. Kakati nze ng'olaba nti tebaagala tubuulirize. Kakati nga nze chairperson wa Uganda Land Commission siriiwo nga just kulaba nti ebintu bitambula. Waliwo kye bayita research, okunoonyereza wende naye ebyo byonna, kubanga bwe babaawo financial loss ani abaali answerable yenze. Kyova olaba nina okubuuliriza kino kyeva bagamba ndi mukazi muzibu mbuuliriza. Ye bantwala eri yasooka okuwandika ebbaluwa yali Betty Kamya ng'agamba Minister wa Lands amugamba interdicting ng'ate akimanyi bulungi nti Minister wa Lands can't interdict. She can only recommend to the appointing authority. Era kyenasiibanga mbagamba, and the president proved me right because bwe yawandiika ng'agamba nti chairperson you suspended n'enzira wabbali. Yagamba nti omuntu baba bamunoonyerezaako adda wabbali. Yes, adda wabbali, but who is supposed to do it? Era nze ensonga gye nnambika mu bino byonna, tuyiga okuba abambulukufu, tuyiga okukola ebintu ebituufu. Ekyo kye kizibu kyange. Abantu bo baagala byamangu bugubugu, tebaagala byamazima, tebaagala kuba balambulukufu. Example ki gye tulekera abaana baffe? Nze alina amasenior leader enkyanvaawo naye abanaddawo banaaba batya. Examples tubalekedde ki? So those are some of the things between okulaba to working towards to 10.6 billion was irregular. First of all, mu bantu be baasasula n'engeri gye yakolebwamu.
Just Luganda. Olunaku lwa leero twayise IGG Betty Kamya ajje yennyonnyoleko kubanga yali minisita w'ebyettaka. Era mujjukira twamuyita wiiki ejja n'atajja ne tumuyita omulundi omulala ate n'atajja, so amaze n'ajja kuba twalemeddeko tugamba nti ateekeddwa okujja yennyonnyoleko kubanga eyali minisita w'ebyettaka mu biseera waliwo emivuyo egimu egitategeerekeka bulungi. Waliwo ensonga ya biliyoni 10 ne miliyoni 600. Ensonga eno Honorable Betty Kamya yawandika ebbaluwa ng'asaba ssente zino. Awandikira Minister wa Finance. Naye ate amateeka go gagamba nti ebbaluwa eno yali erina kuwandiikibwa Uganda Land Commission nga yesaba ssente zino. So si minister. So minister awandika ebbaluwa, aba commission bagamba nti ffe tetubimanyiiko era ssente ezo tetwazisaba. Accounting officer naye agamba nti tabimanyiiko ssente tebazisaba. Ate muwulidde Chairperson Commission agamba nti abantu abamu kwaba bafuna ssente ezo biliyoni 10 tebaliyo. So kakati minister ffe tumunenya, IGG eyali minister tumunenya kubanga teyagoberera mateeka. Etteeka bwe liba ligamba nti supplementary eno ssente zino zirina kusabibwa entity Uganda Land Commission, ate gwe n'otagoberera mitendera egyo wabeerawo obuzibu. Kyovuddula kati ebibuuzo bitandise okujja bingi. Commission egamba ssente tetwazisaba ate abazifuna abamu ku bo tebaliyo, ghost claimants. So IGG atugambye nti alina kubiwandiika ebimu byayagala otulagako era nabyo twagala tubitudduleko. Naye okusookera ddala kikulaga omanyi bw'otagoberera mateeka olekayo ebibuuzo bingi. Kati n'abagamba nti sikakati ssente ezo osanga ye ne banne bazeetwalira bo nga bo mulimu ghost claimants naki. Oteekayo ebibuuzo bingi kubanga oganye okugoberera emitendera nga bwe girina okubeera. So IGG tumunenya ku ekyo era nga tulinze n'ebiwandiiko ebirala ebikwata ku nsonga eno.
Mukyala Kamya entebe gyalimu kati IGG wadde nga minisita n'olwekyo olina okuba mu protecting institution ya IGG okutakwatagana okukubagana empawa tolaba nti buyinza okaffectinga n'okutugendera ku nnaku ya ripooti mu babaka.
Ensonga eyo of course mbaddemu ababaka abamu nga bagamba nti kakati IGG bwe tumuyita ku nsonga eno ne tumuvunaana kino ne kiri ate tuyinza okumulemesa okukola emirimu emirala. Etteeka ligamba nti kasitoba nga wali mu ofiisi yonna nga tulina kye twagala okubuuza, etteeka litukkiriza okuyitanga akakiiko ojje wennyonnyoleko. Tetugenda kuttira muntu yenna liiso. Mujjukire yali Vice President Professor Gilbert Bukenya baamutwalira ddala paka luzira, yali namba 2 mu ggwanga lino. So ekyogamba nti kakati omuntu ono ali mu ofiisi eno tulina okumubikkirira, nedda tekikkirizibwa. Nze bikyusikanya nakyo. Tetulina muntu yenna gwe tulina kubikkirira. Twagala amateeka gagobererwe nga bwe kirina okubeera. Ate bw'obanga oli IGG gw'olondoola ssente y'omusolo n'ebirala, ate gwe kennyini alina okutambulira ku mateeka amalungi mu buli ngeri yonna n'okola ebintu mu butuufu bwabyo. So si ate amateeka tugagoberedde ate abamu nga bagamba nti kakati oyo omuntu tumuleke kubanga ekifo kyalimu kifo kya nkizo nnyo. Ekifo ekyo kya nkizo nnyo tukkiriza era twagalamu omuntu atambulira ku mateeka. So bwe kizuulibwa nti omuntu akirimu ate tatambulira ku mateeka osanga talina na kukibeeramu. So ekyo ekyokumubikkirira ekyo nze sikkaanya nakyo. Omanyi kasita wabanga badaye mukyampulira kasita wabanga waliwo obutakkaanya mu bantu abatambuza ekitongole kati nga Uganda Land Commission, Chairperson akonagana ne Secretary ate bakonagana ne Minister na kasita wabeerawo obutakkaanya emirimu tegijja ttambula. Kyemulabyeko wano kakati Minister ye nasalawo abantu bano sikkaanya nabo sijja kubeebuuzaako kuba bo kye bagamba teyatwebuuzaako ssente n'azisaba yekka tetumanyi na kye zaakola kubanga mwalimu ghost claimants naki. bwe buzibu obubeerawo awo nga temutambulira wamu. Ate kaakati owulira IGG ali mu kulondoola ensonga za Uganda Land Commission mu kaseera ke yalimu minisita. Kati bano bagamba nti tetwesiga kinaavaayo mu nsonga ezo kubanga ye yaliwo era yakola ensonga zino ezitategeerekeka, ate twali tukwatagana bulungi naye, ate kaakati ali mu kutunoonyerezaako. Ekitegeeza agenda kutulumiriza ye okugezaako okweggyako omusango. Eyo nayo ensonga ogirabye nga bayinamukko kakonsaani akali awo. So obutakkaanya tebubeera bulungi, naye fe okusingira ddala oba temukkaanyiza oba ki amateeka go mugatambuliddeko. Kuba kati oli bw'agamba nti tewatambulira ku mateeka, tewatwebuuzaako ng'osaba ssente zino, toyinza gamba nti oyo akyogedde kubanga tanjagala, kubanga tetukkaanya. Ekituufu kyo kiri nti weebuuzaako ku bantu bano nga ssente zino tonnazisaba, watambulira mu mitendera nga bwe kirina okubeera ng'amateeka bwe gagamba, y'ensonga enkulu.